What's up, interweb? RhyQuinn here, and today I am with Adam from TNA TV. As per usual, we are back, and we are giving you the GBA Season 4 Playoffs First Round Recap. I don't know why I led with saying I'm with Adam first, because then I didn't give him an opportunity to introduce himself like he normally does, but introduce yourself now.
Hey, how's it going? Um, like you said, we're here with the one and only wild card round for the playoffs, which means there's only two battles that happened this week, but they were two very good battles, and we will start with the Cincinnati. Almost said Winnipegs. Yeah, the Cincinnati Winnipeg. The Cincinnati Loudreds versus the Winnipeg Aqua Jets, and that was the Hoenn Conference, right? Yeah, the Hoenn Conference wild card. And that actually went, what was it, a 2-0? Was that a
It's a
2-0?
3-0, I think.
3-0 towards Hank's favor in the Aqua Jets. And that was a really, really good battle. If you guys have not seen that, I implore you to just push pause on this and go watch it because it's really good. You'll see a very interesting Mammoth set from Hank, which I loved. It was, I think, was it max special attack and max attack with 0 speed?
I believe it was max HP, max attack.
Okay. Well, it had 30 special attack IVs with 0 speed IVs so that it could get itself HP Fire to take on Fortress, but then it had Freeze Dry to take on both Gastrodon and Gliscor. It was all over the place. It knew what it wanted to do, and that was to take out the wall core oh my gosh, the Loudreds, which would be Mulvone, the Mulvone was going to bring. It was really good, and it kind of came down to really, did Mega Pinsir have Feint on its moveset? If it did, then Hank could win. If it didn't, then Mulvone was going to win. So it was a really, really good battle. What do you have to say about it?
I love the assault vest Mammoth. Amazing. Just tanking an overheat from a Manectric. It was obviously also thick fat as well, but still being able to tank an overheat from a Manectric and then it just proceeded to kill it with an Earthquake was awesome. Morvone brought, offensive Fortress with, I believe it was Earthquake, Rock Slide, Durable with the three moves we actually got to see. And on Hank's side, he didn't really seem to have much to deal with a bulky Talonflame, which is exactly what Morvone brought. I believe it was Bulk Up, Taunt, Roost, Brave Bird, I want to say. And yeah, Hank had a bit of a problem trying to take that thing down. But one of my favorite plays from the whole match was a Choice Scarfed Excadrill. Huge offensive threat. Choice Scarf Excadrill. Only move it uses in the entire game before dying is Rapid Spin. I love that.
Totally worth it.
Oh, absolutely worth it. But there was one particular play which people have been very critical of in particular was Fortress switching out for Mulvone, which allowed Mega Pinsir to get behind a substitute for Hank, which kind of sealed him the match, considering that he did have Feint. But the reasoning that Mulvone gave was that after one Protect, if he'd have stayed in with Fortress and gone for another Rock Slide on the Mega Pinsir, after he'd taken a return, and after one Protect from Sharpedo, nothing stopped it. Literally, if he'd have stayed in, gone for a Rock Slide, but Mega Pinsir got for a return beforehand, it would have been down basically in red with a little bit of leftovers recovery. Sharpedo comes in, protects, and then he just sweeps, because he would be able to Aqua Jet the Talonflame and the Weavile, and Waterfall the Fortress, and they would all go down. He didn't even particularly need to Aqua Jet the Weavile either, because he can Ice Shard wouldn't have done too much anyway.
Right.
And with the thing that really won Hank the match was Feint, because without that he wouldn't have been able to out prioritize the Ice Shard from Weavile. Maybe the Brave Bird from Talonflame, because I don't think it had much or any speed investment. But the Ice Shard for sure on Weavile, he would not have been able to out prioritize, and it just killed it with Feint, which was amazing because he managed to get up a Sword Stance. So yeah, I thought it was awesome just to see Feint being used so well. But if you haven't seen the match in entirety, we didn't really do it that much justice. We said like the key plays, but everything that goes around it is still fantastic as well. So please do go watch it. If I'm feeling generous, both of these matches will be linked in the description. The ones that are on the GBA channel that are commentated by nice people. So go watch those because they're cool. So as we said, Hank and the Winnipeg Aqua Jets win 3-0, and they're going to go on to face Miguel and the Real Maril, which we'll come on to in a little bit. But first off, before that, we are going to talk about the Sinnoh Conference, and this is Shady Penguin and the New York Mankeys taking on John and the New Orleans Pelippers. And what happened in this match? They played in week 1 in the regular season, and Shady Penguin won 1-0. But in this match, John Pokemon wins 4-0 against the Mankeys. Now, this match, I really, really, really like this match too. There was some in the beginning plays of the match. There was some very solid switches on that side. You know, Mega Venus was forcing Milotic out. John made a very nice prediction going for Sludge Bomb with the Milotic in as Shady switched into Rotom Heat, did a huge amount of damage. There was one huge play in this match was RhyQuinn was behind a substitute, just decided to get a bit of damage off on Conkeldurr as it broke the substitute. Went for a Thunderbolt, and it got a paralysis on Conkeldurr, which normally you would say, oh, that's a good thing for John, but it activated Guts on Conkeldurr. And wouldn't you know it, this Conkeldurr actually had Facade as well. As on the following turn, John switched out into Sylveon, and it just got OHKO'd by Facade. Just dead. Just absolutely destroyed the Sylveon with Facade. There was some very interesting stuff on Shady's side too. Bring in Normal Gem, Fake Out Acrobatics, Amber Palm. And I mean, it was doing a solid amount to the Mega Venusaur, but he was able to synthesis and, you know, Giga Drain off all the recovery and take out Amber Palm. And then towards the tail end of the match, there was some, in my eyes at least, there was a kind of an odd series of switches from Shady. He switched out into Sizzle and then into Conkeldurr and then back into Sizzle, which then went down to an HP Fire, so it didn't really achieve anything other than Mega Venus was taking a little bit of burn damage, which wasn't even that much, and he could synthesis it off anyway. One thing that I really liked seeing was Milotic tanking a Flare Blitz because it was paralyzed, got hit with the Thunder Wave, I believe, on the first turn, and so Marvel Scale was activated, but it absolutely tanked a Flare Blitz. It had 33 HP and was left with 3. Took exactly 30 damage from Entei. Flare Blitz from Entei, which is ridiculous, and it allowed it to get a recover off and really stay in the match. But the thing that sealed it for John was sub Calm Mind Raikou. He set up a Calm Mind, and after one Calm Mind, a Scald does not break the substitute from Milotic, and Shady actually switched down Milotic anyway. It allowed him to get behind a sub, and there was nothing on the rest of Shady's team that could deal with it after he'd set up, and he was just able to clean up with Raikou after that. I feel like I basically said everything, but do you have anything more to add to that?
I do, actually, because
Yes.
the 4-0 is not overly indicative of how that game really went.
Absolutely.
I think Entei survived on like 3 HP when he switched him out. I think there's another Mon that was decently low, although I believe Crocodile may have never seen the field in that. But you know, the switching around that Shady was trying to do was he was trying to get John to overcommit with his offense, so that the burn was going to wear him down to a position where potentially Mega Scizor, wow, can't even say names, Mega Scizor could potentially take him out. But on the switch back to Mega or regular Scizor at this point, John went for a synthesis, which pretty much sealed up the game there. One other thing that I'll show that makes it a lot closer than really the 4-0 shows is if you watch Shady's side, there's actually quite a few times where he says, I think John's going to do this, but I'm going to make a safer play and not overly predict that, which normally Shady's very good at staying in the middle ground moves where you're not overreaching on your offense, but you're not playing so defensively that you have no position. I think he got himself a little locked into playing a little bit too defensively and too safely in this, which allowed John to kind of control the battle the entire time. So it was still a really, really fun battle to watch. And again, if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it because it was really fun to watch.
Absolutely. Definitely one of the better matches in this season. I say both of these matches definitely playoff worthy, I'd say. Great matches, and that is why the playoffs are so great. But now, as we said, that means the New Orleans Pelippers move on in the Sinnoh Conference. So we're going to move on to, obviously there's no, league leaders or conference breakdown or anything like that. We're just going to go straight on to predictions for the next round of the playoffs. So in the Hoenn Conference, we have the winner of the last round, the Winnipeg Aqua, are going to be taking on the winner of the Hoenn Conference, which is Miguel, Mega Mogwai, and the Real Maril. So who do you have in this match?
So this will be interesting because, Miguel just had a move, and Hank just had a very good game that he prepared very well for. So it's kind of one of those, maybe does that extra week off, does that kind of screw up your mentality, or does it give you better time to plan for it? And I think that Hank made a couple of trade moves that made him match up a lot better against Miguel, namely by getting Mammothswine. If he can use Mammothswine effectively, it'll be very close. My heart wants to say Hank wins this, but the safe money is saying that Miguel wins this. So I'm going to have to go with a 2-0 for Miguel, I think. I think a 2-0 for Miguel. What about you?
Yeah. I really agree with that. I think his trade, as you said, particularly Mammothswine, does put him in a much better standing against Miguel. But he still is going to have to play it really, really well. And depending how Hank runs it, I could see him bringing it scarfed, honestly, simply because there's a lot of things on Miguel's team that could potentially do some damage to it that are a lot quicker than it. And the things that Hank would want it to outspeed, that it could do damage to, are already quicker than it. Things like, I don't know, Victini, Thunderous, Megalopony, I guess. I don't even know if it would outspeed when it's scarfed, but Hydreigon, Tentacruel, not Doublade because it's already quicker than that, but a lot of things that the Mammothswine would want to do a hefty amount of damage to and try and break through are a lot quicker than it. So I could potentially see him bringing it scarfed, and it might be a bit too, I don't know, narrow for that. I'm not sure. It's definitely going to be a tough one to call to see how that Mammothswine matches up, but at the same time, Miguel obviously has all the mons that he's really familiar with. He's had the whole team, his same team the whole season. He's very familiar with it now, and as you said, he has had an extra week to prepare for this. But whether he's actually used that time, because obviously he has been busy with moving place and things, whether he's actually had that time to prep for this, or whether it's thrown him off his game a little bit, I'm not sure. In terms of my actual prediction, I'm kind of beating around the bush a little bit on this one, but in terms of my actual prediction, I'd say I think I'm the same as you. I really want to say that Hank takes this one. But I really, really don't know. I'm going to say the Winnipeg Aqua Jets win this, but it is not going to be a convincing victory one way or the other. Whoever wins this, I think, is really going to be a close game. So I'm going to say it's going to be a 1 or 2-0 victory either way, but I'm going to go with the Aqua Jets, I think.
All right. That's fair.
Maybe.
That means that we have the Hoenn? No, we just did the Hoenn. We have the Sinnoh. We have the Sinnoh. God, man, my whole thing is going well right now. We have the Sinnoh Conference, and that is John with the New Orleans Pelippers versus Dan and the St. Louis Rampardos. That shapes up to be another rematch, actually. I think that was the first time. That'll be the first time that Hank and Miguel play. And this is a rematch of, I think, week 5, right? I think it's week 5.
Week 5, week 6. Something along those lines.
Yeah, something like that. So who do you have for this?
Honestly, I feel like I have to go with John on this one. Not just because of the result of their match originally in the season. It's just that the St. Louis Rampardos is generally made up of a lot of walls, and the New Orleans Pelippers is made up of a lot of wall breakers. A lot of John's team can handle Dan's team relatively well, and we saw that in the first match during the season. So unless Dan does something crazy, comes up with some kind of crazy concept, or he absolutely plays out of his skin, I think that John has this one. But I don't think it will be as convincing as a victory as it was before. I believe it was a 3-0, 4-0 before on paper.
Yeah, I think it ended up being a 3-0 just because maybe potentially some crits or something. No, actually, I think he just played well enough to make it back to a 4-0. But luckily for John, he had Sash Sigilif.
Yeah. And to be fair, that may have been a convincing victory on paper, but if he didn't have the Sash Sigilif, it could have gone the other way, but he did. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Pelippers in this one. I think they know what they need to do to win. I mean, they won before. We've said it before that it's tough to beat the same opponent twice in the same season, but I feel like on this occasion, the way to win against Dan for John's team is to do something pretty similar to what they did last time, and I feel like John can do that.
So for me, I see this actually as really Dan's battle to win or lose. I think if Dan can come through and be almost kind of just punch John's face or teams in the face and just like take the counterattack and keep the offensive up, I think he might be able to do it. He has enough Pokemon that can kind of start out and do well. He has a Mew, obviously, is a jack of all trades, can do anything, can start really well. He has Terrakion that can come punch you in the face. He has Volcarona who can set up and potentially sweep through almost all of John's team, really. And then he also has Nidoqueen who can lead off and be really dangerous. If he can kind of have a good offensive start and then take the counter punches with his two walls, which work really well together, he might be able to take this. Because I think John pretty much comes to the same strategy, which is I have enough offense that I'm just going to outmuscle you. And every time that I see John's team go up against a defensively oriented team such as Cooper's or Dan's, I almost always have to choose John's team because it's just so good offensively. But I think if you can come through and kind of knock John off his game by punching him in the face first, he might be able to pull it off. However, in my heart, I think I have to go with John, and I think it's going to be another 2-0, but I'm going to say that it's going to be a 2-0 such that if the last Mon that John was using would have died, it would have been a 1-0 in Dan's favor. So maybe had a Pokemon left with like 5 HP, or a Pokemon that dies to entry hazards upon coming back in, or something like that. I think it's going to be extremely close. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near what they had in week 5 or 6 or whatever it was. I think that Dan's pretty good at planning, and he'll have some trick up his sleeve to deal with some of the stuff that John's going to be bringing. But I don't know. I have to go with John on this one.
That's fair. Yeah, so I think we're pretty of the same mindset. These next two matches are going to be as good, if not better, than the matches we've just seen. And if that's anything to go by, these next matches are going to be amazing. Playoffs are looking really good so far, so I'm excited for more matches. And I hope everyone who's watched this video is excited for more matches too. It's been amazing so far. More of it to come. So, I believe that is all for now. So, next week, we'll be back, and we'll be talking about the round 2 matches that have gone down, and then we'll look ahead to the final. Woo! We're getting close to the end, guys. Much hype and excitement and things and stuff. Yay. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this little mini recap video, I guess. And we'll see you guys next week. I've been RhyQuinn, he's been Adam, and you've been awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye.